Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that is also new to me, which is translating research into design without loss in translation. And obviously, this is going to be from a user-centered design standpoint. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to focus on two things. I am only going to discuss B2C products because there is slight variations from a B2B standpoint, which may be discussed in another video. And I am not going to discuss any research steps and only steps that are pursuant to research. So here goes. Okay. So first and foremost, even before you do any research, as a team, you need to set goals for the effort, UX goals included. It will be better. It is actually best if you decide it as a team and kind of agree upon as all the goals that are uh, important for the success of the product and what are the associated metrics related to that. So that aside, and let's also assume that research is done. Okay. So step number one after research, based on business needs and user needs that are gleaned from initial contextual inquiries, you need to list all the design principles that are key to the new interface and also the key tasks. When I say design principles, it shouldn't be confused with the design heuristics which are popular. These are not what I mean by design principles. Design principles are really a set of guiding principles that are going to provide character as well as predictability to the new proposed design. So, whenever in doubt, these are principles that you can invoke, and these are principles that will guide one design direction versus another. And obviously, as you iterate on and you find something is not um, per the user's mental model, you can always change that. These would be, an iterative process as well. But putting pen into paper on these kind of things is helpful because that will kind of help you. And again, when you list out key tasks, it is kind of important, not kind of, it is very important to collaborate with your functional partners, especially the product peers, uh, because they already may have a good deal of understanding of key tasks that are important from a business perspective and in many cases from a user's perspective, right? So get that information first, then contextual inquiry, analyze all that information. So those steps are done. So the next step after that, after you've defined the design principles as well as the key tasks that you're going to design for, you need to come up with scenarios that depict all key tasks. And this is actually as a fun task, and designers would enjoy it because this is a divergent task. You can imagine things that are not just things that are from the left brain standpoint that come from research. That those things definitely need to be part of this, but you have an ability to stretch the design in the future design into areas which could potentially provide either efficiency gains or delight or based on those principles again, what are you trying to maximize? You can stretch that a little bit using your um, divergent thinking skills. So you come up with those scenarios, you get an agreement from the key stakeholders, and there is a neat way that I've used in the past to break down these scenarios into user needs and related requirements. And this can potentially, if you start it as a document for scenarios, can potentially continue on to the business requirements document, which can be broken down into, even like Jira tasks or things like that with much ease, like epics and stories, because it's kind of easily broken down. The advantage of this kind of an approach is that it is already in the form of stories from user profile standpoint, which are more powerful to illustrate and get a buy-in for. And these are again not proto uh, profiles or proto stories, if you will. These would be real stories that are based on research, contextual inquiry. So that is an added advantage there. And step number three would be conducting cart sorting. Again, if it is complex interface that you're building, cart sorting is kind of like a staple thing. Sometimes it also helps to validate the structure that you identify with cart sorting with another um, alternate approach, which would be like testing the validity of what you found with another quantitative method, uh, like the tree testing. And again, you only need to do this when it is of importance and you can afford it, and there is an extra time uh, and effort that you're putting in, and those are kind of justified, right? So you shouldn't do something for the sake of doing it. When it is like an important effort, it might call for that to be doubly sure. So, and this is a method that you could use. Step number 4 would be to revisit these scenarios and add anything you missed based on the insights that you uncover from card sorting as well as the pre-testing in some cases, as I mentioned. Okay, so now the scenarios are solid. Now what you can do is, again, divergent thinking. You can sketch multiple low fidelity prototypes, ideally as teams of different designers. So uh, that will create different concepts without collaborating, as those two teams going separately, coming up with designs and then coming together and trying to combine and collapse these ideas. The key would be to collapse anything and everything that is not really distinct. Uh, so the idea here primarily is to test multiple designs only if they are distinct. If it is not extremely distinct, you might as well avoid that step and combine the good part things about those two designs into one better concept. Okay, step number 7 would be, iterating, failing until the conceptual design is solidified or in that low fidelity frame. And then once you are confident about the conceptual design, you increase the fidelity. And a couple of things to pay attention to in this process would be using research early and often, because that is a power of this process. And you need to design with minimal fidelity. Again, that is also the power which helps you fail fast and iterate fast. And again, as I mentioned, lower fidelity advantage is that it attracts more unfiltered thoughts and criticism as well from the users as they are using the concepts. So it's perfect win-win scenario to be using a low fidelity until conceptual designs are solidified. So hopefully this process helps you. And if you aren't already using this, again, very curious to hear your thoughts about this video as well. Thank you so much.